In this video, we will talk about Arduino program branching, which allows executing different programs depending on various conditions. The simplest branching statement is if. To show how if statement works, we will write a simple program that turns on LED after 1000 loop cycles have passed. To count these cycles, define an integer variable with 0 starting value. We will also need to set a built-in LED. In each cycle, our variable will be increased by 1 using the increment operator. Add a small delay to slow down the loop cycle. Write if keyword. After that, write parentheses and brackets. In parentheses, we will need to write our condition when to turn on LED. In this case, we will compare our counter value to our threshold value using greater than operator, so that when the counter number reaches 1000, LED will be turned on. There are several other comparison operators that you can use to define a condition. In brackets, write a function that turns on LED. Brackets code will be executed if the condition in parentheses is true. If you upload your code, you should see that LED turns on after a second. If we want to execute code while condition is false, we add else keyword after if brackets and another pair of brackets after else, where the executable code will be written. As an example, we will add code that shows on serial monitor LED state. After uploading your code, you should see that text changes from off to on when LED turns on. Sometimes we need to test multiple mutually exclusive conditions. In this case, we can add another if statement after each else. For example, we want to write a code that does different things in different counter ranges. If the number is less than 1000, we want to turn on LED. If the number is between 1 and 2000, we want to turn off LED. If the number is 2000, we want to print text. And if the counter is greater than 2000, we want to reset the counter to 0. For each of these conditions, we will add else if statement. Last else statement will be executed if no other condition is true. The second condition is a range. To define this range, we will use logic operator AND. AND only outputs true value if all of its operands are true. To print out text, we will compare it to out threshold value and in brackets write serial print function. Last else statement doesn't need a condition because it will execute if all other conditions were false. If you upload your code, you should see that LED turns on and off. The text is printed out on the serial monitor and this cycle repeats because of counter reset. A similar statement to if is switch. The switch receives integer number and executes case code with the same number. As an example, we will make code that randomly executes different switch cases. To get this random number, we will use the random function that generates number. Initialize this function by setting seed. In this case, we will use noise from analog Arduino pin. Then define variable where we will save our random number. As a parameter, write maximum random value. To define switch statement, write switch, then in parentheses our random number variable name. Then in brackets we will write case number and colon after. Write break and semicolon. This will determine the end of each case. Between case and break, write code. In the first case, we will put the blinking LED code. As we will generate a number from 0 to 2, we will write 2 more cases with different actions. When you upload your code, you should see that case is executed according to the generated number. You can find more information and example code about program control structures and random function in Arduino reference page.